Good morning. Today we're with Dan Smith with Eleos Coffee, and this morning we are going to be doing some roasting. Dan, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Ready to roast some beans.
Fantastic. Dan, tell us what we're going to be roasting today.
Well, I'm going to start with an Ethiopian bean. So we roast 3 single origin beans here. We do an Ethiopian, a Guatemalan, and a Sumatra. And so we're going to start with an Ethiopian. And,
okay.
I've measured out what we're going to start with. This roaster can roast up to about 24 pounds, but I typically roast 20 pounds at a time, just so I have a little bit more control. And so you just start by putting the beans up in the hopper. And then our starting temperature, this is a drum roaster, of course, and so our starting temperature is about 380 degrees.
There's an awful lot of levers and whistles, and looks like a steam locomotive.
It does. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So basically, once we're ready to drop, I'll pull this lever, and it allows the beans to go down into the roasting drum. Right now, they're just up here in the hopper. And then this is actually a little sampler. So through the roast, I can get just a sample of what's going on in the roast. And then once the roast is done, then I'll drop the beans out of the roasting drum and here into the cooling bin.
That sounds good. Why don't we get things rolling?
Here we go.
And that drops the beans.
So now the beans, yeah, you can see them are going into the drum, and then we'll close this up.
And the color of the beans, Dan, tell us about that. What happens to the color of the beans? Yeah,
that's a great question, because it really is some key indicators throughout the roast. So, of course, with green coffee, as in unroasted, it's going to be the green color. Different shades depending on what origin you're roasting. But there are a couple of markers. The first marker is that when you get to around 280 degrees, you're going to see a yellowing begin to happen in the bean, and then it'll go more to a cinnamon color, and then ultimately it'll be that typical brown, coffee bean color. So color are some important markers, but also sound is an important part of the roasting process. When you get to about 380 degrees, the bean is going to enter into what's called first crack. So it's just where it's getting to that temperature inside where the moisture in the bean is just wanting to escape. And so it actually sounds like popcorn in the roaster. And then for a darker roast, it's going to go into another, what I call second snap. But typically our coffees, we don't let get that dark in the roast.
Now, you've been roasting coffee here for how long?
For almost 4 years now. Yeah.
And you're a pretty active part of the local coffee scene. Tell us a little bit about that and the role that Eleos plays, not only in the neighborhood, but the growing coffee scene in Kansas City.
Yeah, it really is exciting, and just a lot is going on in coffee. There are a lot of just local roasters like me. We have some bigger roasters, of course, but just a lot of folks that are really taking this coffee roasting seriously. And so yeah, there's a neat connection that's happening, and I've got to even mention what's going on down off of 31st Street at About the Coffee. Those folks are just really being instrumental in bringing all of us coffee roasters and baristas and coffee shops together, and so that's a cool thing. But
I'm sorry, that's Tootie and Marty Rowe. They just did something big down there this past weekend, or?
Well, yeah, a lot of weekends they will have different types of seminars. So if you're interested just as a home barista, or you want to get into coffee roasting yourself at home, certainly stop by Eleos here, or check out About the Coffee down off of 31st Street, because they've got a lot of seminars on Saturdays just to help you learn all kinds of stuff about coffee.
Very cool, very cool.
But one of the things that we really value is relationship, and so coffee is a very relational business, and we use it here in the Northeast just to get to know people and try to see where we can help in the neighborhood with people individually. But one of the things that we're really excited about now is that all of the coffee as far as the origin of our beans. We know more about what's happening with those coffee farmers. One of our main importers is an organization called Passionate Harvest, and they're committed to not only knowing who the farmers are, but really ensuring that they're getting a fair price for the coffee, and then also pouring back into those communities. Another importer is actually a local organization called Kappa Oots, and that's where we get our Guatemalan coffee. Fantastic people, and they're really involved in Guatemala with those farmers, trying to make a difference. And so we are really trying to watch that carefully so that the people we get the bean from are being blessed, and then as we connect here in the Northeast, we can hopefully be a blessing to people here. And then we're also opening a coffee house in Detroit to try to make a difference in that very devastated city. So yeah.
Now you've just expanded here. You've taken over the old the restaurant space next door and just completed a pretty major renovation. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that happened really beginning of this past year that we were able to move into this extra space. And it allowed us then to also have our own roasting room. Before, we had a little roaster that just sat in the back of the coffee house, and that was great, but it was really cramped for space. And so last year we were able to get this roaster and renovate this space so that we could have a little bit more room for roasting and packaging and shipping. And then also out front there's just more space, customer seating, and that's also where we have our daily Bible study. Every day at 10, folks can come in and get free coffee and pastries and soup if they're in need. And so we just have a really good time just in Bible study. So that gives us space to be able to do that as well.
That's cool. And it looks like our beans are starting to change color a little bit here.
Yeah, so we're at 286 degrees now, and you can definitely see the yellowing in the bean. And as we pull that out, it still, of course, has a green shade to it, but more of the beans are starting to yellow. And so it's just, yeah, we're really, we're about at the 6-minute mark, and that's where we want to be for this. And so yeah, our goal for this particular bean, this Ethiopian, is that I'm going to end up dropping it at about 410 degrees, depending on where I'm at with the time. It'll be 410, 412, somewhere in there. And we should be around the 16-minute mark for this bean. Now we're entering into first crack. It might be a little hard to hear with this bean. There's just a subtle popping noise that you can hear.
And you can see that the beans have changed color too. They're much darker than they were when we started.
That's right.
Now we're getting to a crucial phase here. I noticed that you just checked your gauge, and something down here, it just got real noisy. And Dan, what's happening now?
So I'm going to go ahead and drop it. Dropping the beans out of the roasting drum, and this is the cooling bin. So in the roasting process, you want to try to stop the roasting process as quickly as possible so that the bean doesn't continue to just roast just from its own heat. And so right now, there's a fan that's pulling air down through the roaster and up through this vent and outside, just to try to stop the roasting process. And this is a fairly light roast, and that's where we roast our Ethiopian bean. And we just want to stop it right at that critical moment. And this roast I actually dropped at 412 degrees. And then this will take about 3 minutes just to really cool well. And then we just put a bucket under here and pull this out, drop the beans, and then they're ready to be packaged and ground up and ready to enjoy a good cup of coffee.
So this that we have here, it's kind of like a vacuum. It's sucking cool air.
That's right. Down
across the beans, and then that cool air comes out this pipe right here, and then goes out the back lot towards your back parking lot. So Dan, a little bit about that. We talked a little bit offline about the smell that's out there. This is not going to be that Folgers coffee that permeated downtown for so many years, right?
That's right, because in the roasting process, if you're outside while I'm roasting, it's gonna smell more like just that, something is roasting. Where you get that really great aroma is in the grinding process. So when we're in here packaging, and if somebody orders some ground coffee, then this place just really inside just fills with some great aromas, because that's where that really pronounced coffee smell comes from.
So after this will take about 3.5 minutes. We're about, what, 2 minutes into this now?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, it's coming along. Zip it up and then heat seal it, and it's ready to be enjoyed. And so this is our 2-pound bag. We also make available a 5-pound bag, and then also a smaller 12-ounce bag.
So people can actually come in and order all of the grinds that you do, or they can order a custom grind if they actually wanted to grind, and then they would grind that at home.
That's right.
Or a custom roast, I should say.
Yeah, just a custom blend to fit their preference. And we do offer free delivery for Northeast residents. So if you want to call just with a credit card or whatever, we can take care of you on the phone, and then by the end of the day, you'd have coffee on your porch.
And Dan, you've got a Facebook page and a website. Tell us how we can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so the website, just to see a little bit about us here and to order coffee, is just eleoscoffee.com. That's ELEOS coffee.com. And then, we're on Facebook, just Eleos Coffee page. And so visit us there and take a look at the website for sure.
Or they can come in. You're at the corner of Independence and Indiana. They can come in and enjoy a nice cup of hot coffee.
Absolutely. And if your business uses coffee, please consider using Eleos Coffee. We do have special rates just for wholesale customers, and so we can give you a break on the price if you can use it in your office.
Dan, thank you very much for showing us a little bit about the coffee business today.
You bet, man. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Take care.